Good evening. I'm audible, I'm visible. Yes? Great. Perfect. Very good. Perfect. Good evening, good evening, good evening. Good evening. Good evening. We'll wait for 2 to 3 minutes and then we'll begin. Good evening, good evening, good evening, good evening. As always, we'll wait for 2 3 minutes. An interesting set of discussions today. We have not discussed anything further than Surat split. We have just reached Surat split, but a very interesting set of events which we are going to discuss today in that sense. Krishna, if you can read the NCERT, it's an important book generally. Yes, Pranay. Good evening. PPT and NCERT is must, Bipin Chandra, if you have the time. But for 2024, you can go through it once for sure. Sameen, we do everything mains level also. Everything I'm teaching you is both prelims and mains, both. There's no separate thing. Yes, Sanu. Yes, more than enough. That is more than enough, Sefruddin. Yes, XY. PPT plus NCERT is a must, must, and must. Abhishek will talk about carrot stick, don't worry. We're coming to carrot stick very soon. It will be discussed in the context of what is called Rowlett. Because it's Abhinav pre-Gandhian, because it has not just one but three basic topics inside it. What we have to discuss today basically is revolutionary activities, then we have to discuss Gadar, then Morley-Minto reforms, Morley-Minto reforms, and last but not the least, we also have to discuss the Home Rule League movement. Home Rule League, and we yesterday stopped with the moderate extremists destroying each other. Here we will technically end with them coming together in 1916, which is Lucknow Pact. This is what is the basic agenda. Now, 8th class and 12th class part 3. Tanu, not an issue. Whatever you've missed, you can do it again later. That is not an issue when the batches repeat themselves. Okay. Can we start our first discussion? Revolutionary activities, because what I need to give you is a very important timeline. As always, we will first discuss the timeline of what we have to discuss. And then I will go into the nitty-gritty. And we will also try to understand what do we mean by revolutionary activities. But today is going to be a plethora of topics, interesting ones. And tomorrow, we bring Gandhi back. First, we will discuss Gandhi's South African experience and why South African experience is very important. And thereafter, we'll go from South African experience to then Champaran, Kheda, and Ahmedabad. And by Thursday, we will be into an interesting zone because we'll be discussing Rowlatt and thereafter Jallianwala Bagh. Then we will go to NCM, and by Friday, we will be most probably completing the process of Swaraj's no changes and even the Simon Commission and Nehru report. So we have now entered the business zone of our syllabus, and we are now discussing that in that sense. Now, when we talk about extremism, is everybody with me? Can we begin? Can we begin our discussion for today? Okay. Yes, Sachin, it will repeat itself again. Don't have to worry in that sense. Okay. Now, when we talk about extremism, in India, extremism took two forms, which is basically first in the form of political extremism, and the other one in the process of what we call as individual activities and the concept of organizations. Now, if you remember, we have already discussed political extremism, which is with regards to Lala Lajpat Rai, Bipin Chandra Pal, and what we call as Bal Gangadhar Tilak. These represent what we call as political extremism, which is within the fold of the INC and are doing their politics with regards to what we call as INC politics. However, there's also individual activities, and this is what we call as revolutionary activities. And these revolutionary activities, in that sense, are embodied by certain personalities and certain organizations. And we have divided revolutionary activities into two, which is that we have first the concept of initial, in which we will discuss Anushilhan Samiti and Mitra Mela and Abhinav Bharat. And thereafter, the same, we will go into revolutionaries part 2 when we will be done with the non-cooperation movement, which is HSRA, first HRA, HSRA, Bhagat Singh. And we'll discuss very interesting things about Bhagat Singh, and I will give a very alternative perspective about the Lahore conspiracy case, which is linked to him. So, the three today, which will be in our focus, is going to be Anushilhan Samiti and Yugantar, Mitra Mela Abhinav Bharat, Savarkar brothers, and Birendra Kumar Ghosh and Aurobindo Ghosh. And basically, this is going to be an interesting discussion we are going to have. This also includes the Gadar movement, which was not in India, Madan Lal Dhingra, all of them come here only. And we will now create an alternative timeline which exists since 1897, and that is what we are going to do today. So I hope you understand the difference between political extremism and what we call as organizational based extremism. Can we all agree to this first? That what is the basic difference? I will show it to you also, and And basically, this is the basic point. This is the basic point that political extremism and individual activities are happening parallel to each other, but we tend to not see it in that way. In that way. So we all are on the same page regards to this, that we have already discussed, and I'm now going to make a very important timeline. Can we now be focused on this now? What is the difference? The difference is they are mainstream politics. They are mainstream politics, while individual activities in organization are parallel to it. If you understand the basic point here, once I make the timeline, you will actually make sense. Can I discuss the timeline? Can I discuss the timeline? Yes? Perfect. So, this is what is extremely invaluable. As always, I'm giving you the timeline first. We discuss the timeline. Thereafter, I'll go into the nitty-gritty later. But I am giving you the whole timeline for revolutionary activities, revolutionary politics. So if you remember, I have done one timeline with you previously. And this timeline is of what we call as political extremism. Where does the story of political extremism start? Which date does it start? If you remember the past timeline with me, come on. 1899. It starts with Curzon's politics. Starts with Curzon's politics. So our story starts in 1899 here, then goes to 1903, 1904, 1905, 1906, 1907, and thereafter we stopped here. And this was the Calcutta Corporation Act. This was basically the official Secrets Act. This was 1904, was thereafter the concept of the Indian Universities Act. This was partition of Bengal and what we call as Swadeshi movement. Then 1905, we also have Banaras session. This is Calcutta session. And this is Surat session. Surat session. Unnati, I have condensed it because if I keep on adding more elements to it, I'm audible, I'm visible, right? Yes. So I have condensed it because if I don't condense it, it will become more and more complex. So you keep it simple. You keep it simple that December I've removed. Okay. We understand the first timeline with regards to this. This is the split. Very good. Now, today we add a very important timeline to this story. Okay. Now, please pay attention to this timeline because this is unique. You will not find it in any book, and generally it is for your understanding. You have 1897, 1899. You have thereafter 1902, then 1904, then 1906, then 1907, 1908, 1909, then 1912, 1913, 14, and then 1915. 1915. And all of these dates are linked to what we call as revolutionary activities. And 1897 is technically a very important. You understand what is an assassination? What is an assassination? Assassination attempt. If I say assassination, you understand that is trying to kill. Is trying to kill. So assassination, somehow everybody knows, which is worrying, but yes, you know that everybody knows assassination. So 1897, we have the first revolutionary activity which happens in Maharashtra by the Chapekar brothers, which is called Rand's assassination attempt. Rand's assassination attempt. Then in 1899, you have the Mitra Mela, which will be formed by the Savarkar brothers. 1902 is important for Bengal. Mitra Mela and Chapekar brothers would be Maharashtra. 1902 is important for Bengal because we have the Anushilan Samiti, which will be formed. And 1904, the Mitra Mela will become Abhinav Bharat. And by 1906, a very important concept within Anushilan, Yugantar group will be formed. But thereafter, 1907, 8, 9, 12, 13, 14, 15 are very interesting moments because these are all different. Yugantar is a paper, but also a faction within the Anushilan. I will tell you that. Now you have one after the other attempts. For example, 1907 is known for Fuller's assassination. When I say attempt, it means that it was not successful. Assassination attempt. Then you have Fraser's train derailment attempt. Then 1908 is very important because of the Kingsford assassination, which is going to be the biggest thing which Anushilan Samiti or Yugantar will do, which is called the Alipur conspiracy case. This will be the successful one. Thereafter, 1909 will be when the Abhinav Bharat will start to organize things, and you will have Jackson's assassination attempt. Jackson assassination attempt. And something else will also happen in London. Madan Lal Dhingra will assassinate Curzon Willie in London. And hereafter, 1912, the whole politics will shift outside India. So 1912 will be called Harding's bombing, also called Delhi conspiracy case. And 1913-14 will be the period of the Gadar movement. And finally, 1915 will be Home Rule League, the concept of Home Rule League coming through. So Rand will be assassinated. But so I've written attempt and successful. I will write. The basic point is, I tell you the story. That is not the problem. I am first giving you the larger overview. You will never find this anywhere else, in no book, nothing. This is just for your understanding that basically there are two timelines which are actually activating and happening together. 1909 is also the year of Morley-Minto reforms, which I will discuss with you. See, I am not asking you to ratify this. Obviously, Kingsford assassination will kill someone for sure. Don't worry. I will see if this methodology will not work. I will give you this in the end. There are two ways I can do this. I can give it to you in the beginning, or I can give it to you in the end. I give it to you in the beginning so that you understand the larger picture. I have shown this is the trailer. Do you ask questions to a trailer or a teaser? You tell me. I give you in the end also, that is not a problem. You don't ask questions to a trailer, right? So right now, I've just given you a trailer. I will explain to you everything, and then I will again go and explain the movie to you, and then we'll again discuss the trailer. So basic point is, there is nothing to be learned here. You just have to look at the larger perspective. What I'm trying to show you is that in India, there were two things which were happening together. At one level, there was political extremism, whilst INC was squabbling with each other and throwing shoes at each other. We had a whole set of brave young men who said, we will make the British hear what it means to be a nationalist. You need to understand one thing. For your prelims preparation, you will later realize that how important these timelines will be. Because a lot of times, they ask you to put these things in chronological order. And that is why I am giving you these in this form, so that if I ask you Kingsford assassination and I ask you Fuller's assassination, at least you can put them in the chronological order. Is everybody with me, and are we all on the same page with regards to this methodology? That I am right now just trying to give you a basic overview. I have to tell you the story. But this is what we covered today. Which is the alternative timeline. 1899, we have Calcutta Corporation Act. Whilst there is the Swadeshi movement happening, in India, there is also another thing which will happen after the Swadeshi movement, which is the concept of Fuller, Kingsford, and Jackson's assassination attempt will happen. Morley-Minto reform will come, and Madanlal Dhingra is going to assassinate Curzon Wily. We understand the Komagata Maro today. We understand separate electorates today. We understand Home Rule League. Are we all on the same page, and can we begin the story? Curzon Wily is not Curzon. Curzon Wily was a officer in the India House. It was not in India. You will see now revolutionary activity will spread across the world. Okay. Now, please understand and please pay attention. Can I begin? Everybody is here. Everybody understands this. I can guarantee to you, this is extremely valuable to you. Don't worry about this. I will make multiple of these, and you will not have to go anywhere. Neither Spectrum, neither Bipin Chandra, neither any book will give you this timeline, and this is important for you. Okay. Now, These are called revision devices. A lot of you ask me, how do you revise? These are called revision devices. You revise through timelines, quickly, know what is the concept. Now, see, now political extremism is about politics, agenda, program, going here, going there, this, that, this. In the end, what happened? Shoo. Now, there was a new rising youth in India which said that this politics will not get us anywhere. This politics will not get us anywhere. And what really India needs to show to the British is that you're not welcome here. You're not welcome here. Somehow the British think that they're welcome here. Let us show them what it really means to be an Indian nationalist and what it means to be in India. So the extremist program will get appropriated by in Calcutta and in Bombay by two organizations which will become very important for us. First, I will talk about Calcutta, then about Bombay. So the Chapekar brothers, I will come to them later. However, the first moment when Tilak's two most important trained deputies showed to the British that you are not welcome here was 1897, even before the Swadeshi movement, when Rand, an officer known for his very, very bad policies and a very brutal Britisher, they said that we will assassinate him and send him a message. We will send the British a message that now staying in India is not easy. We are coming after you and we will show you that you should live in fear. We have lived in the fear of the officer. We have lived in the fear of what we call as the revenue, the industrialization, drain of wealth. We want to push fear into the hearts of the Britishers. And this is the beauty of revolutionary activities. These revolutionaries, that they wanted to create fear in the heart of the Britishers. That is why when Chapekar brothers will assassinate Rand, it will send a message that now the Indian will not let the ICS officers, the judges, or any officer who is going to be brutal act in his own understanding. We will eliminate him. We will eliminate him. So in Calcutta, the first body which embodied the extremist agenda in 1902 was a Samiti called the Anusilan Samiti. Anusilan Samiti actually was started by two very important personalities. I'll show you their pictures also. Anusilan Samiti is Jatindranath Banerjee and Birendra Kumar Ghosh. This is Jatindranath Banerjee. Jatindranath. And this is Birendra Kumar Ghosh. Birendra Kumar Ghosh. Now, when they start Anusilan, Anusilan was more about technically creating or making the youth work, making the youth understand the concept that everything is perfect, everything is, you have to go for individual training, the concept of what we call as Anusilan. Anusilan was a little bit damp. It was not that revolutionary, but it was about creating a major idea in the youth. However, by 1906, within the Anusilan, Birendra Kumar Ghosh will feel that we need to be a little bit more radical. We do need to be a little more radical. All this training of the youth is not going to help too much right now. We need to send a message to the Britishers. And he will be instrumental in creating what is called the Yugantar group within Anushilon. Within Anushilon. So basically, Anushilon was the larger body. Inside Anushilon, we have Yugantar. Yugantar was a paper initially. They used to write about the or criticize the British a lot. But now Yugantar is going to take up a lot of important moments or create a lot of important attempts. The first such attempt is going to be about Fuller's assassination. This assassination was aborted because this officer, basically the first lieutenant governor of divided Bengal, Fuller was the first, don't have to remember this, lieutenant governor of East Bengal. The Yugantar group wanted to eliminate him by showing that we reject this Bengal partition by literally eliminating the first lieutenant governor. However, this assassination was aborted when they realized that Fuller was not in the carriage, and this was one of the major issues, that the movement of the British was not known too much to our intelligence or to our revolutionaries. So they were going to go after his carriage, his transportation, but they will realize that he wasn't there itself, and that is why Fuller's assassination will be aborted. So that is why it's a Fuller's assassination attempt, and this will be in 1907. In 1908, rather in 1907 again, the governor of Bengal was a person called Fraser. And he was traveling on a train in the Bengal sector. And the Anushilon or Yugantar understanding was that we will very simply derail his train. He will die somehow. Train derailed. However, they will try to derail the train. However, it will be unsuccessful. So the first two attempts of the Anushilon and the Yugantar were one aborted and other failed. However, now in 1908, they will choose a much better target, and his name is, I'll show you his designation also. 1 second. 1908 is Kingsford. Aborted means that it did not went through. Yes. Now Kingsford, everybody is with me till this point. First two attempts, you are aborted means that they planned it but did not get through. We are all same. Yes, very good. Now in 1908, Kingsford was a judge, and he was a very sadistic judge. Enjoyed giving Indians very harsh punishment. The formation is 1902, 1904, 1906 will be Yugantar. As soon as Yugantar will come through, two major attempts, 1907, 1908. 1907 both are aborted. Derailment means to derail a train. Train runs on a track gone. Lieutenant governor is under the governor of Bengal. I hope you are finding this interesting because it's a very interesting moment in our history. So basically 1908, we have this sadistic judge called Kingsford, and Kingsford in 1908, people identified his carriage, and two of our brave revolutionaries, Prafulla Chakki and Khudiram Bose, will throw a bomb on his carriage. However, unfortunately, lucky guy, Kingsford was not in the carriage itself, but two ladies were there. These two ladies will die for sure. However, Kingsford will survive. So I'm again repeating myself. You have 1902 formation, 1906 Yugantar within Anusilan, 1907 two attempts Fraser Fuller does not happen. 1908 the Anusilan Samiti Yugantar go for Kingsford. They identify the carriage also, but at the moment when Prafulla Chakki and Khudiram Bose decide to actually throw the bomb, two Britisher ladies, you all are asking me, were they Britishers? Somehow you feel happy that at least some Britisher died. The basic point is these two white ladies will be killed in the process of this assassination. However, Kingsford is not going to be killed. But this moment is the last major moment of Anusilan, because this killing will become the context for what is called the Alipur conspiracy case. The Kingsford assassination in official documentation is actually called Alipur conspiracy case, because it happens on a street, and I'll show you the street also. It happens on this street, and this street in Muzaffarpur itself was technically going to be the street on which they are going to try to assassinate Kingsford. Now, the problem in this story is that as soon as the Alipur conspiracy case will start, the British government will go after the Anusilan and Yugantar very heavy-handed, very heavy-handed. And in the Alipur conspiracy case, all of these men will be caught. All of these martyrs will be caught. All of these brave young men will be caught. And Anusilan will more or less be disbanded, or more or less will cease to exist, because everybody will be caught itself. What is common to all of them are they are very young, and they have one thing in their eyes, which is the urge to free India and to send a message to the British. They regretted nothing. And here is Birendra Kumar Ghosh. But the most important personality was Aurobindo Ghosh, who was the real mastermind behind this. And as you can see, I have his police report, or rather what is called the roll which goes when he's transferred to the judge. It's called Alipur Sessions Court. He is going, and Aurobindo Ghosh, father's name, all his details, and his picture. This is how they used to document, and all these pictures are actually out of this only. The basic point of the matter is Anusilan Samiti will be known for its 3 attempts. However, after this attempt, they will become extremely weak, and Yugantar Anusilan will cease to exist. This part makes sense? Then I'll give you a summary again. Yes, very good. So what is the summary? The summary, they all will be hanged, unfortunately hanged. 1902, 1906, 1907, 1908. Now I'm breaking that timeline and presenting it in front of you. So this is Anusilan formation, Yugantar formation. Please remember just one thing, Fuller Fraser, both were not successful. Kingsford, which is also called Alipur conspiracy case. And two names are very, very important. Here the question will not be on these assassination attempts. I will tell you, not for mains. The mains examination question will be much more meta. I will tell you that. Don't worry about it. Just be with me. Don't worry. Everything will make sense. Thereafter, Aurobindo Ghosh, Birendra Kumar Ghosh, and Jatindranath. No, not Jatindranath. Khudiram Bose. Khudiram Bose. Khudiram Bose. And Prafulla. Can you remember these four names for me? Yugantar was a paper within Anusilan, but it was a group also. Kingsford survived, unfortunately. Okay. So let's revisit our timeline. Now, what have we done? We've done this moment, we've done this moment, and we've done this moment. So we've now covered the Bengal part of the story. We've now covered the Bengal part of the story. So we'll try to just do it via the PPT. Can I do that? Is this making sense? Because these are multiple places, multiple timelines, I'm bringing them together, right? Yes, very good. Now, by 1870s, Calcutta student community was honeycombed into secret societies, and they were not very active initially, but will become very active later. The first revolutionary group, which was organized in 1902, was in Midnapur under Gyanendranath Basu, and in Calcutta, which is Anusilan Samiti, founded by Pramod Mittar and included Jatindranath Banerjee and Birendra Kumar Ghosh. These three names would be important for you, can be given in match the following. And organization and personality is something which is asked from time to time. And you will, if you have seen the previous year questions, you would know one of the names that actually come through also. You can write, when I say attempt means that it is a failed attempt or someone else died. If I say Rand assassination, it means he was actually killed. But as I said, Anusilan was not that revolutionary. It was about physical and moral training of the members. And basically, from within the Yugantar, there will be an inner, from within the Anusilan, there will be an inner circle which will develop with Birendra Kumar Ghosh at the center. And he will then start a weekly called Yugantar. But that group itself was called Yugantar Group. And they will publish several papers with revolutionary understanding and revolutionary violence, advocating revolutionary violence. And a very interesting quote comes in. Saunders is Bhagat Singh. Saunders is 1929. That is the second phase, which is called Lahore conspiracy case. I will discuss that. Okay. And the quote is very, very interesting. The remedy lies within the people. The 30 crore people inhabiting India must raise their 60 crore hands to stop this curse of oppression. Force must be stopped by force. This is the point. Prashant, don't get obsessed with attempt and murder. Basic name is Fuller Fraser. Attempt, I mean, they went for it, did not happen. Basic point, this quote resonates their spirit. That if you have to remove every Britisher from India, what you need to do is not wait for them to change, but simply use force in order to change the course of Indian history. Therefore, the activities which are generally associated with the Bengal group. And one personality I'm going to discuss with you very soon, but he's mentioned here also. Raj Bihari Bose and Sachin Sanyal. Just hold on to these names, both linked to Delhi story rather. Had organized a secret society in Punjab, Delhi, United Province, and people such as Hemchandra Kanungo went abroad to actually study military and political training. But the Yugantar group actually went forward with the first assassination, which is an unpopular British official, Sir Fuller, who was the first lieutenant governor of the new province itself, though he had resigned the position by 1906. He was a symbol of partition of Bengal. In December of 1907, there will be the attempt to derail the train of Andrew Fraser whilst he was traveling in the sector, lieutenant governor. But both these attempts are failures. However, in 1908, Prafulla Chakki and Khudiram Bose threw a bomb on the carriage supposed to be carrying a sadistic white judge, Kingsford, in Muzaffarpur. Kingsford was not in the carriage, and two British ladies will be killed instead. Prafulla Chakki is going to shoot himself, and Khudiram Bose was tried and hanged. However, this moment is a moment of problematic history for Anushilal, because then Anushilal group will be arrested. Both Aurobindo and Birendra Kumar Ghosh will be picked up, and under the Aurobindo, or what is called the Alipur conspiracy case, or what is called the Maniktola bomb conspiracy, because this is technically, the road is called Maniktola. This road is actually Maniktola. Maniktola conspiracy. The Anushilal will cease to exist thereafter, with him being the most important mastermind. Clear, everybody? Anushilal and Yugantar clear? Anushilal and Yugantar is clear. Very good. He shot himself because he martyred himself, rather, because he did not want to be caught. Did not want to be caught. Okay. Aurobindo Ghosh, I showed you the picture here. Aurobindo Ghosh is this. Aurobindo Ghosh. Now, can I talk about now Bombay? Bombay? Yugantar part of Anushilal, yes, but much more revolutionary within Anushilal. Okay, now the Bombay story starts in 1897 only, because here already Bal Gangadhar Tilak was very, very active. His Kesari and Maratha, two newspapers, were sending a lot of messages to the people, asking them to be united against the British. He used the Ganpati festival as a form of spreading the message of nationalism. But in 1897, two of his disciples, mentored by him, the Chapekar brothers, are going to go after Rand, and he is technically again a ICS officer who was known for his sadistic policies, did not even give heed to the people when famines used to happen, known to be one true representative of the British in India. That attempt will be successful, though partially, because both of them will get caught. And this will send a rippling effect in Bombay, that now revolutionary activities were there and were now rising in the whole Bombay presidency sector, which had generally been very silent. So 1897 is basically the moment of Rand's assassination. The Chapekar brothers. However, the This is a person's name. Person's name. The first organized revolutionary body in Bombay was actually 1899 Mitra Mela, which is done by the Savarkar brothers, V.D. Savarkar and his brother, Savarkar brothers. And Mitra Mela, much like the Anusilan, was about spreading the message of nationalism, about revolutionary activities, about training the people. Yes, Walter Charles Rand, whatever you want to call him. Then Mitra Mela, again, much like Anusilan, did not want to go forward, as too much as a what we call as overtly an organization which goes for activities. It was about training people. So Mitra Mela, Savarkar brothers, very important, because this becomes the first organization which starts to develop a certain sense of nationalism in the youth. And much like the Anusilan, by 1904, Mitra Mela is going to metamorphosize or will transform itself into what is called as Abhinav Bharat. Abhinav Bharat was one organization which embodied the revolutionary spirit of this period. The Savarkar brothers being very, very, very important in this story in that sense. But they don't have too many attempts on assassination, except for 1909, which is called Jackson's assassination. Jackson was the plague commissioner there. Plague is a disease which spreads through mice, rats, and there's a lot of money which is pushed through into plague relief. But he used to eat that up, not used to use it for the welfare of the people. Again, an officer. And Jackson assassination attempt will again be partially successful with them killing Jackson. But Abhinav Bharat again will get connected to Jackson's assassination. And though no specific name was given to it, the Abhinav Bharat will be arrested, even V.D. Savarkar and his brother will be arrested. And Abhinav Bharat will be again held with a very heavy hand to crush this movement. So Abhinav Bharat again has the same type of trajectory like Anusilan Samiti. They go for certain attempts, but as soon as the British get to know about them, the British go after them very quickly. So for example, simply, Anusilan is Anusilan, Yugantar, Fuller, Fraser, then Kingsford. And here it is Mitra Mela, Abhinav Bharat comes in the examination quite a lot. And then they have the Jackson assassination. And there is no backup or there is no understanding of how this organization will survive. Everybody who is associated with Abhinav Bharat is picked up overnight by the British. And this in turn will become the context for the two major Bombay and Bengal tradition to develop. Parallelly, we also have Punjab, in which everybody is clear with Bombay. Jackson killed, Rand killed. Both were killed. Okay. Chapekar brothers was not specifically linked to the Mitra Mela. They are associated with Tilak. Okay. Now, parallelly in Punjab, you have two very important personalities. Lala Lajpat Rai. But much important to the Punjab story is a person called Ajit Singh, who is what of Bhagat Singh? Ajit Singh was the uncle. Ajit Singh was the uncle of Bhagat Singh. They will also start. Chapekar brothers will be caught. See, it's very hard to evade the British. We'll discuss that. Very hard to evade the British. Once they get their attention on the person, it's very hard. In Punjab also, there is one organization which is coming through, which is called Anjuman. However, because of Bombay and Bengal, in Punjab, the British were very, very clear and very swift to crush any form of revolutionary activity even before it could do anything. That is why Punjab, though they are very important personalities, they will technically not be able to, in a way, fully blossom this feeling, which his nephew will, which Bhagat Singh will take forward later. However, Punjab has this subdued story. Let me bring you up to date with what we've done till this point. Everybody is following these three stands here: Bombay, Bengal, and Punjab. Punjab, too heavy-handed already. Bombay and Bengal, very straightforward. Bombay, it was Mitra Mela Abhinav Bharat, and Bengal, it was the Anushilan Samiti and Yugantar. Both have their most important assassinations, Jackson and Kingsford. Thereafter, they get disbanded. Are we all on the same page? Abhinav Bharat is part of the Mitra Mela movement in the larger context. Okay. Now, we'll talk about Harding bombing very soon, which is 1912, but I have to discuss something with you. See, 1908, the Dhaka Anusilan under Pulin Das tried to again do a dacoity on a train, the Bara dacoity, but again not that successful. Raspberry Bose I'm coming to because that's Delhi itself. But what I want to discuss with you is Maharashtra. So the first revolutionary activity in Maharashtra was the organization of the Ramosi, if you remember, peasant force by Vasudev Balwant Phadke in 1879, with the aim of getting India rid of the British itself. There was also a concept that we will raise funds via dacoity, because the biggest issue which these revolutionaries had, was that there was a lack of funds. There was a lack of funds because the British control the money flow quite a lot. Again, Kakori, later, HRA, not this movement. The simple point is, dacoities were very common, but all of that was suppressed very quickly. In 1890s, Tilak propagated this new form of nationalism, this militant form of nationalism, and the Ganpati and Shivaji festival was used to spread the message of nationalism, and two journals, which is Kesari and Maratha, were used for spreading the message of what we call as extremist nationalism. And that is why two of his disciples, Tilak's disciples, Damodar and Balkrishna Chapekar, will murder the plague commissioner Rand and one lieutenant, which is Ayerst in 1897. In the whole timeline, this will be the first ever assassination by anybody and anyone. So remember that the revolutionary politics in India started even before Swadeshi movement came through. Thereafter, the Mitra Mela will be formed by the Savarkar brothers, which will later be merged with Abhinav Bharat, and together they will become Abhinav Bharat under the concept of Young Italy in 1904. Young Italy, when you will do world history with me, I will tell you, is linked to the unification of Italy, a very important revolutionary body in Italy itself. And soon Nasik, Pune, Bombay emerged as bomb manufacturing centers. In 1909, the A.M.T. Jackson, the collector of Nasik, and then the plague commissioner also, was killed by Anand Lakshman Kanghare, a member of the Abhinav Bharat, and 38 people will be arrested. Among these, it was found that both brothers were the real leaders and the real brain of this whole movement, and they will also be sent to exile to Rangoon, to Kalapani, which is Andaman Nicobar Islands. So we have completed Maharashtra, and we have completed the concept of Bombay. Is this clear? If it is, I will just do the timeline again, because now I want to go to Delhi and a very interesting and important personality, Rash Bihari Bose. Everybody is with me. Is this making sense? Very silent today. Either you're finding it interesting or you're caught up in the timeline. Either way, it is a Punjab, I'm coming to it. Don't have to worry. Punjab is a little bit later. Okay. Punjab you want, I will give you after Delhi. I thought, okay, Punjab. Among those activities or these activities known in Punjab was Lala Lajpat Rai, who brought his Punjabi. Ajit Singh, the uncle of Bhagat Singh, started an extremist organization called the Anjuman-e-Moshiban-e-Watan, and it was also, it had what is called a journal called Bharat Mata. However, extremism in Punjab died very quickly because the government struck very hard in 1907 on them. And though we have a lot of associates of Ajit Singh, which went out of Punjab, one will become very important. You have Sufi Amba Prasad, Lal Chand, Bhai Parmanand, but the most important is Lala Hardayal, which I will tell you is going to get associated with things. So you wanted Punjab, you get Punjab. Can I now talk about Delhi and how Harding's bombing is going to happen? Can I discuss that? I have now discussed the three zones with you. This is the beauty of that timeline, that you know what we have to do. We've discussed Punjab, we've discussed Bombay, we've discussed Bengal. Are we all, Punjab, nothing really happened at this point of time. Are we all on the same page with regards to the initial timeline? If you see, I have now covered with you the initial timeline, which is, we have discussed the Chapekar brothers. Now we've discussed the Savarkar brothers. We've discussed Anusilan, Abhinav Bharat, the Anusilan Yugantar group. Thereafter, Fuller, Kingsford, Jackson. And now I'm going to Delhi conspiracy case. When did Abhinav Bharat get created? For us, it is 1904. We don't have to go to his story. Now, is this timeline making sense? Do you understand the importance of this? Because I would like to go to 1909 generally, specifically for 2-3 purposes, but more important, Delhi conspiracy case. Okay. Okay. Now, Delhi. The concept of Morley Minto we will discuss separately. I tell you, there are too many things we have to discuss. I'm doing them systematically. Don't worry about Morley. Don't worry about Minto. Don't worry about anything. Don't worry about Madanlal Digra also. I will discuss that. But I'm doing it thematically. So can we all be on the same page that we understand the first three major places of revolutionary activities? Okay. Now, see, Calcutta was the capital. But Calcutta was becoming too problematic for the British to handle, because Calcutta was now becoming the epicenter of revolutionary activities. Most of these personalities are Bengali. As it is, the Swadeshi movement had more or less created a lot of problems for the British in Bengal itself. So there used to be always a major concept, which is called a darbar. Now, in India, three darbars happened: 1877, 1903, and thereafter 1911, which has important purpose to us. These two happened in what is called Calcutta Darbar. And the Darbar is nothing but the concept of, as it says, for example, these big meetings in which the king and the queen used to come, and basically the emperor and the empress used to meet their subjects. Used to meet their subjects. This was a whole drama which the British used to do, and in 1877 and in 1903, just before the Swadeshi movement, they did it in Calcutta in a grand way. The British king came, Queen Victoria came in the 1877 one. That is why the Empress concept comes in 1876. She became the Empress of India. So now she comes to India to meet everyone. However, as I said, the British king and queen now did not find, and what was actually common was that every time a king changed, he used to always come to India to show his power, that I am the new king. So in 1911, two things happened. First is that George V will come to power as the British king. He will be proclaimed as the Emperor of India. And also they wanted to get out of Calcutta. So in 1911, it was announced that the capital of British India will be shifted from Calcutta to Delhi. And therein lies why Delhi is the capital of India today. And Delhi was the capital since 1911. 1912, they will shift. But 1911, it was announced. And in order to do this major drama, they also said that the Darbar will happen in Delhi this time, which was called the Delhi Darbar. Delhi Darbar. The images which I have showed you are of Delhi Darbar. The Red Fort was used. Why did they use the Red Fort as a symbolic place of starting the whole procession? Very good. Basically, to show that we are the new Mughals, we are the new dominating personality, and the whole, it's technically like a Republic Day, if you want to say. It's a proper procession which happens, and it starts from Red Fort, it travels across the Red Fort, and it ends here, which is called the Darbar Hall. This is the Darbar. Here you have George V and his wife Samartan, and they together were now going to meet the people of India. But also a very important concept which I have not introduced to you is the concept of meeting the princely state kings and queens. The concept of how the British will introduce what is called paramountcy. I will discuss that with you very soon. But basically, it was the concept of meeting the kings and queens. So the kings and queens used to come and show their honor to George V. Now, this is a whole drama, proper drama to show that India is part of a larger concept. And in the Delhi Darbar, it welcomed King George V. Decisions, two very interesting ones. Partition of Bengal was annulled, which is that together Bengal was reunited, but Bihar and Orissa was separated from Bengal, and capital was transferred, and the date was decided as 1912. So now I hope you understand what is the Delhi Darbar and the concept of Darbar itself. Darbar literally means drama. It's a big darbar of people coming together and doing this drama that we are the emperor and the empress. We are the whole concept of king and queen of India, and they wanted to show it's a show of power. Annulment means cancellation. It's a show of power. Till this point, everybody's with me. Yes? Okay. Now, simple point, 3 darbars happened, 1877, 1903, 1911. It's a drama, proper drama of power, and it's about pushing the emperor and empress. And simple point is, 1911 is important because it is the first time it happens in Delhi, the first and last time, Delhi Darbar. And Delhi Darbar basically was based on the concept of power show, George V. Are we all on the same page? Then I only move forward, because now comes Rash Bihari Bose. Okay, very good. Now the Viceroy of India at this point of time was a person called Harding. Harding was the Viceroy. And now Rash Bihari Bose will say, Bose will say, this drama does not sit with me well. And what he plans is that they say that in 1912, when Delhi will be officially promulgated or officially launched as a capital, Harding will do this drama. Harding will do what drama? That he will walk down Chandni Chowk on an elephant. Walk down Chandni Chowk on an elephant. And Rash Bihari Bose said that let's do one thing. Why kill these small officers, lieutenant governor? Let's kill the viceroy. Let's kill the viceroy only. And in 1912, in what is called Harding bombing case, Harding bombing or Delhi conspiracy case, based on the mastermind of Rash Bihari Bose, the two men, I will tell you their names, but two men will throw a bomb on Harding. His face tells us he needs that. But Harding and his wife were on this elephant. And unfortunately, the bomb will explode, but the Mahant will get killed. But these two will only get minor injuries. Minor injuries. However, this was one of the most daunting and bravest of all tasks, which was that you want to kill the viceroy itself. Now, the two men who threw the bomb, I'll just tell you their names also. The two men who threw the bomb. Yes. Rash Bihari Ghosh, Sachin Sanyal staged a spectacular, these are the two masterminds, spectacular bombing attack on Viceroy Harding when he was officially entering the new capital in Delhi near Chandni Chowk. And at the end, Baswant Kumar Bishwas, Amir Chand and Awadh Bihari, these are the three men who were involved in person. However, the beauty of Rash Bihari Bose was that he was also there. But he escaped. Do you know how he escaped? You want to know actually what he did after escaping? These three men will be caught. However, Harding was also there. Harding will basically escape this with minor injuries. Mahant will die. But Rash Bihari Bose was in Delhi. He will change his disguise and he will change his look and go to Dehradun. And at Dehradun, what he will do is, next day itself, he will organize the chief conspirator of Harding bombing. He will organize a meeting condemning the actions of Delhi bombing, saying that what happened in Delhi was wrong. He will call all the loyalists in Dehradun and have a meeting that how Harding was the real victim here. Harding should not have survived. All prayers with us. Galat hua. And there is Raj Bihari Bose, the key conspirator, sitting there and saying wrong. Totally wrong. This is his mastermind. That because he did not want to get any suspicion on him, he organizes a whole drama in which he is the one who hosted a party for the good health of Harding. And this is how our revolutionaries in themselves were amazing. Amazing. Because they knew what to do. Sachin Sanyal will also go out of India. But he did not want to go out. He's the mastermind. And if you have not noticed, he's the same Rash Bihari Bose who organizes the INA. So his interesting movement from first the in Delhi to Dehradun sector, and hereafter he is so skillful, he will reach Japan. He will reach Japan. And from Japan, he will start to organize activities, which I will tell you with regards to what happened with Gadar. But our story with regards to revolutionary activities, technically ends with the Delhi bombing or the Delhi, what we call as Delhi conspiracy case, where three men were ready to sacrifice to send a message. And Raj Bihari Bose was at least able to shake the foundations of British Raj in India. And what is interesting is the CID and the CIB, the Central Intelligence Department and the Central Intelligence Bureau, which is now CBI, were formed after Harding bombing, where the British said that why is that we are always, our intelligence is so useless that we don't even know that the Viceroy will get killed. So the CID and the CIB will be actually formed after this moment. So if I have to close the story here, and shift to outside India, the 3-4 things can we all just revise and then move on. Can we all be on the same page and let's just revise once. Whilst the shoe and chappal was being thrown in INC sessions, there's a parallel story in India. And the parallel story in India is called revolutionary activities. Revolutionary activities are important because they were an alternative form of extremism. We've discussed as of right now Bengal, Bombay and Delhi along with Punjab. Punjab, you have Ajit Singh and Lala Lajpat Rai, but not very overt action because of the fact that the British crushed it very quickly. Though Lala Hardayal is going to be a very important personality who will be Ajit Singh friend who will become important in the larger context. In the other aspect, Punjab was going to become the epicenter later. In Bombay, we have Mitra Mela, the Chapekar brothers, who had already sent a message to the British via Rand's assassination. Then we have Mitra Mela and the Abhinav Bharat, first organized by Savarkar brothers, and Abhinav Bharat will get, or Mitra Mela and Abhinav Bharat will come together in 1904. And their most important moment was Jackson's assassination. While on the other hand, the Bengal story starts with Anusilan. From Anusilan, it goes to the concept of Yugantar within Anusilan. 3 attempts, Fuller, Fraser, not possible. But comes Kingsford, in which everybody will get caught. Alipur conspiracy case. The story is the same, that basically the end result is both organizations will be disbanded after their only successful attempt. Is this clear? It will be Pranay self-rule. It was successful. Jackson's assassination successful. Okay. Is everybody with me? Because now I want to go out of India. Because our story, Delhi is nothing but Delhi Darbar happens. 1912, Delhi Darbar, Delhi. Harding was going to symbolically walk down Chandni Chowk, reconstructed under British rules. And Harding will be bombed by Rash Bihari Bose's larger conspiracy case. He will evade. 3 men will be caught. They will be later hanged. However, they will be martyred by sending a message to the concept of. There is simple point. Delhi Darbar happens. Calcutta to Delhi transfer. Symbolically, he was going to walk down Chandni Chowk. Rash Bihari Bose, Sachin Sanyal think right time to hit Viceroy. Why not kill the Viceroy when we can kill anyone? Why not Viceroy? Proper plan. They planned it well. Rash Bihari Bose was there himself. They will throw the bomb. Mahant will die, but both of them will survive, which is wife and Harding. And thereafter, the Delhi conspiracy case will be started. 3 men will be caught. Rash Bihari Bose will not be connected to the story. And this will be the last moment of our concept. Is this clear? Perfect? Great. So I'll just read this aspect out. So that Rash Bihari Bose, Sachin Sanyal staged a spectacular concept. Harding was injured, not killed. Investigation followed. 3 men will be caught. Rash Bihari Bose, known as the mastermind of this whole concept, will evade arrest while escaping in disguise. Are we all perfectly perfect here? Now I've done this whole story with you and we've covered the Indian part of the story. Indian part of the story till this point. Done? Yes? I want everybody's assertion. Thumbs up, yes, whatever you want. We'll talk about Rash Bihari Bose going to Japan. Don't worry about that. Okay. Okay. Now, before I give you a break, just one important point. I'll just give you the overview and then we'll see it. See, revolutionary activity now will also shift outside India. But the revolutionary activity will now be taken up by intellectuals and personalities who had traveled to these countries. For example, we have the concept of Shyamji Krishnaji Verma, who was sitting in London. We have Madam Bikaji Kama and Virendranath Chattopadhyay. But whilst we have these 3 persons, Shyamji Krishnaji Verma, Virendranath Chattopadhyay and Madam Bikaji Kama, one major movement which starts is called the Gadar movement. But the Gadar movement coincides with one more event in the world, which happened between 1914 to 1918, 1919. What is that? What is that? Very good. This is the First World War. It is the First World War. So I'll just give you the background here. First World War happened between Britain, France, Italy, America, Russia versus Germany, the Austrians, and the Ottoman Empire. I will discuss the First World War with you in world history, not here. Reason technically being there are multiple reasons here, but basically Serbia is going to assassinate Austrian king, Sarajevo crisis. Germany will attack Russia, Russia will attack Germany, Germany will attack France. It was all based on egos. There is a lot of backstory to this. Don't worry. I will tell you, it's a very comical war, how it starts. And basic point is that there were certain tendencies which were developing in Europe since 1812, 1813 itself, which is rooted in the First World War. So don't worry about the reason. I will tell you that. But the First World War, major war, and the First World War will also be important to us because it's the same period in which Gandhi will come back. It's the same period in which Ghadar movement will happen. It's the same period in which Home Rule League will happen. Remember that in the background, between 14 to 19, the First World War is happening. In this, the major theaters are in Europe. However, all other countries are also involved. India contributed a lot of its men, specifically from Punjab, to the First World War. So Indian men were involved, India was involved. Now the simple to simple point is, this war will also give an opportunity for revolutionaries to go abroad and do activities. Ghadar movement is one of those movements which is linked very closely to the First World War. But as of right now, what I want you to remember is that Indian part of the story should be clear. Is it? Is it? We didn't voluntarily help the British. We were part of the empire. Right? So now we will start with Shyamji Krishnaji Varma. Shyamji Krishnaji Varma, who technically was in London. And the irony of the story is, the India House was his organization. India House was also the name of Secretary of State's ministry. And Shyamji Krishna Varma used to say that we are the real India House. You don't represent India. That is why he started his organization, the India House, and also called the Indian Home Rule Society in 1905 in London itself. He will also be the person who will publish Indian Sociologist. And basic point is, Lala Hardayal and V.D. Savarkar were also members of this society. Why is Shyamji Krishnaji Varma so important? Is because what one of their scholarship students will do is very significant. Basically, the India House used to give scholarships to students, basically revolutionaries, to come to London and study. This was the larger camouflage, which is, they say that we are calling students from India to study in London, but all of those students were technically revolutionaries who were ready to strike the British. And one such personality is going to be Madan Lal Dhingra, I will discuss with you when I'm back. So first part of the story is clear. Now when we come back, we talk about Curzon Willie's assassination in London and Bikaji Kama, Virendranath Chattopadhyay, and then go into the Ghadar, because Ghadar, we have to discuss something very important, which is Komagata Maro incident. Everybody's with me? No issues? Clear? Clear? Perfect. Very good. See, I hope this methodology is working because there are multiple timelines here. I will leave you with this timeline, but there are multiple timelines here. I'm trying to give you the larger understanding and then going into the nitty-gritties. So basically, we have covered the Indian part of the story. We have to discuss Morley Minto reform, which we will discuss. We have to discuss this. We have to discuss this and then this. Done? Yes, no. Can we take a break? Great. So it is exactly what? 6:30. We come back at 6:40. See you. Welcome back. Welcome back, welcome back, welcome back. Okay. Welcome back. Okay. Can we begin? Taking you out of India to London now. London, Paris, Berlin. Okay. So as I said, that the first most important personality with regards to revolutionary activities outside India is Shyamji Krishnaji Verma. And he organized a very nice network. He organized a really nice network in which he used to always bring in students from India or revolutionaries from India as form of his scholarship. And one of the most celebrated, for the purpose of the examination, you need to remember Indian sociologist and Shyamji Krishnaji Verma. The most celebrated and most important of the students who came under revolutionary activities of Shyamji Krishnaji Verma was Madanlal Dhingra. He was a radical youth brought in under the scholarship scheme. His innocent face tells you that he did not want to tell the British what he wanted to do when this image was taken, when he was coming under the scholarship itself. But this person is going to literally hit the British in London itself. And what he will do is that he will actually 1909 assassinate a person called Curzon Willie. This is not Lord Curzon, has no connection with Curzon. 2-3 people can have the same name, Curzon. Rather, Curzon Willie was part of the India House. He was one of the personnels in the 15-member committee of the Secretary of State. And therefore, Madanlal Dhingra will literally go to London and assassinate Curzon Willie and now create London as a non-safe zone for the British. Basically, the revolutionaries wanted to say that you are not even safe in your own country now. That we can come and we can hit you in London also. So, add to this story, Madame Bika Jikama, in French, she was technically in Paris and Geneva. And she established an organization called Bande Matram, used to get the help of the French sociologists also. And she organized in France a node point or a point from which people or revolutionaries could go to other points in Europe. And in Berlin, Birendranath Chattopadhyay created a base. Therefore, in Germany, France, and in England, the 3 major countries, there was an Indian presence if the revolutionaries wanted to move in this direction or outward of this direction itself. So before I go to Gadar, I would like to bring all of them together. So when we talk about revolutionaries or revolutionary activities, there is 4 types of manifestations of this concept. 4 types of manifestation of this concept. First, second, third, and fourth. In India, Bengal, Bombay, and Punjab, along with Delhi, if you want to add, and thereafter it will be international. And when we talk about international national, in Bengal, it will be the Anushilan Samiti and the Yugantar. Two names which you cannot ignore here. Which you cannot ignore here is Aurobindo Ghosh. Aurobindo Ghosh and Birendra Kumar Ghosh, as they called Ghosh brothers. Then in Bombay, you have the Mitra Mela and the Abhinav Bharat. And here we have V.D. Savarkar and his brother, along with the Chapekar brothers, as two names which you cannot ignore. Here you can add Prafulla Chakki and Khudiram Bose. In Punjab, we have two very important personalities, Ajit Singh and Lala Lajpat Rai. Thereafter, Delhi, Harding's bombing, Rash Bihari Bose and Sachin Sanyal. And internationally, we have Shyamji Krishna Verma, India House, and I am not writing their assassinations. This is not the revision of their assassinations. This is the revision of the personalities and the organizations. India House, Indian sociologist, Madam Bikaji Kama, and if you live in Delhi, you would know Bikaji Kama Palace. Madam Lal Dhingra, Virendra Nath Chattopadhyay. Can we all now be on the same page with regards to all of these personalities and organizations? Can you remember this for the prelims examination? Now we are doing it for the fifth revision with everybody together. Yes? Great. Perfect. Now comes our discussion with regards to what is called the Gadar movement. Can we discuss the Gadar movement which existed between 1914, 15 and 13 outside India? Yes? Virendranath Chattopadhyay and Bikaji Kama aid people who are trying to go to London to assassinate someone. Okay. Now, the Gadar movement is linked to two things. It is that a lot of Punjabi soldiers had been deployed outside India, and a lot of them were able to reach, a lot of them were able to reach Canada and America after either abandoning the whole concept of recruitment or serving their time in the army. Rather than going back to India, they would rather go back to Canada or go to Canada or America. And there was a lot of conflict also which was developing in America between Indian labor and for example the American labor. So based on the expatriates, as they're called, expatriates, which is people who had served in the army and now do not do that, and these Indians who had somehow found their way to Canada, because basically Canada is a British dominion, which is that it more or less controls, British technically control Canada. So the Ghadar movement rises for two reasons. And it rises in San Francisco in America to aid these two processes together. So it was a newspaper which started based on the western coast of USA and Canada. It composed of mostly Punjabi soldiers and peasants who had settled in the US. And as I told you, one of the most interesting personalities was Lala Hardayal, who was linked to this party, Ghadar party. The first issue of this newspaper came up on 1st November 1913 in America. And by 9th December, there was also a Gurumukhi edition. This was based in Canada initially by the expatriates, basically the army men such as G.D. Kumar, Ramdas Puri. But one most important personality here is Sohan Singh Bakhna and Lala Hardayal. If you remember, where did we discuss about Lala Hardayal? Ghadar literally means hila dena. Gurumukhi is the language of Sikhs. So Lala Hardayal we discussed in Punjab. He was one of the very close associates of Ajit Singh. So their aim was to make sure that they could channelize support for Indian expatriates and Indian nationalism and revolutionary activities abroad. And why do they use the Ghadar concept or Ghadar word is basically, in India, there was a lot of press censorship. So they used to publish this newspaper from Canada and from America and send it to India. And the front page itself used to say a very interesting thing. Angrezi Raj ka kacha chitta, an expose of the British rule. So basically, there are certain men who start a movement which is called the Ghadar movement. And this movement starts as men who are initially in the army, start to settle in Canada and America. They start a newspaper, and this newspaper's name becomes their movement, which is called the Ghadar movement. Are we all clear about its origin? Are we? Yes? Now, in this Kacha Chitta, basically the expose of British, they used to always have 14 points enumerating what are the harmful effects of British rule and 2 points suggesting the solution. 2 points suggesting the solution. What is the solution to Angrezi Raj or Angrezi Hukumat? And more than that, they were also the ones. See, the British know about the Angrezi Raj ka kacha chitta, but tell me why they cannot hit the Ghadarites in America? Come on. Why they cannot hit the printing press in America? Very good. America is an independent country. And therefore, Canada may be the dominion. America is a free country. You can do whatever you want to do. So that is why they found San Francisco as an important concept. It's not about image. It's not about anything. The Britishers are technically moralless, ethicless, whatever you want to add the third word. But the basic point is it was not about image. It was that if they are actually operating out of America, they cannot actually do anything. It's an independent country. What they also did was that they talked about the Yugantar group, the Anusilan group, even Russian secret societies were talked about, that how all across the world there are people who are talking about Indian independence. And one of the interesting things is that in every newspaper, they had a poem, Gadar Ki Goonj, which used to bring everybody together. Yes, they can stop the newspaper from coming from India. So do you really think that the newspaper was sold at the Chauraha? No. All underground activity. Everything was done covertly. This newspaper was in circulation in North America, Philippines, Hong Kong, China, Malaya, Singapore, Trinidad, Honduras, India. Not in one area, all across the world. Poems will be recited. And basically, the Gadar movement is very important because it changed the image of the Punjabi. Which regiment suppressed the 1857 revolt? The Punjab regiment, DFF. So it was always associated that the Gorkha and the Punjab regiments are loyalist Britishers. Therefore, the Gadar movement tried to change it. That we are not loyalists, we are also rebels. And this loyalist past we give that up. Now, please listen to me very clearly, straightforward. Gadar operates from San Francisco and from Canada, circulates everywhere. Kacha Chitta is given. They are trying to subvert British rule. They train revolutionaries. But between 1913 and 1914, they actually did not do a lot. But can we all accept that this is the Gadar movement? Then I talk to you about what is going to totally change their orientation. Okay, perfect. Very good. In order to understand this, we have to look at this ship. Can we look at this ship? This ship, if you can see it, is called the Komagata Maru. It's called, no, you can't see it only. It's called the Komagatu Maru. This ship is going to become, not the Titanic, this ship is going to become the epicenter of all Gadarite activities. Before I go forward, is the Gadar movement base clear? Yes. If there's anybody who says no, you tell me what is not clear. They operate from Canada and San Francisco. These are army men who have left their service and settled down. Indians were trying to reach Canada to get better life, and they want to expose the British rule by not censoring their basic newspapers. And once they don't censor it, they start to send it across the world and create a public opinion about what the British were actually doing. And they train revolutionaries, Sohan Singh Bhakhna and Lala Hardayal, the two most important. Can we all agree to these basic facts? Yes? Very good. Now, as I said, between 1913-14, they're not very active, but their real anger is going to come in what is called the Komagata-Maro incident. Can I discuss this incident? Because we need to understand 2-3 things. Okay, very good. In order to understand this incident, we have to understand what is called Canadian immigration laws. Canadian immigration laws. So here is Canada. Here is Canada. Here is India. Now, people want to go to Canada because either their family is there or they're either the Gadarites who are trying to pull some Indians into the Gadar movement, or generally because of better economic opportunity. Canada is a better colony than India in that sense. So there was a regular flow of Indians to Canada, mostly based on agricultural labor, or it's either agri labor, or it's based on army men calling their families, So there's a sizable movement of people across India and Canada. Now you tell me, would the British like this? Would the British like this? Obviously no. Because they treat Canada in a different way and they treat us in a different way. So as just on the eve of the First World War, March of 1914, this incident will happen, Komagata Maru. But in order to understand Komagata Maru, we need to understand what were the changes which were brought in between 1910 to 1914 in the Canadian immigration laws. Canadian immigration laws. Now you listen to me very clearly. I am telling you the laws. First law says, if you are traveling from India to Canada, it should be continuous passage. It should be continuous passage, which is first clause, continuous passage via maritime route, the ship should not stop anywhere. And even if you are able to do this, when you land in Canada, you should have $200 in your pocket. You should have $200 in your pocket. If you're asking me why, you're innocent. You know that the British don't want this to happen. Now, even if there is no era of flights, it's all based on ships. Even today, if you take a flight to Canada, it doesn't go straight. It will stop somewhere in Paris or in Frankfurt or in Germany or in France, in Dubai, somewhere it will stop for sure for refueling. And then itself it will go to Canada. Now, this is technically impossible. This is technically impossible. Either having $200, which is still to date, having $200 a very big amount, or having continuous passage between India and Canada. Because there is no ship, which does this. Which does this. There's no ship in the world which can travel between India and Canada without refueling and stopping in Africa. So the first clause itself was made in such a way that Indians would automatically get disqualified to do not enter Canada. Basically, if you don't have proof for continuous passage and $200, they will send you back. They don't care where you go. You will become a refugee, but you will not be allowed to enter Canada. So I hope the first clause or first law is clear. First law is clear. Yes? Now, for example, you try to evade this law. So the second law was equally problematic. It said that ticket of the ship to Canada should be bought at the place of citizenship. As the place of citizenship. So if you're an Indian, where should that ticket be bought? In India. Very good. But unfortunately, there is no ship service from Bombay or Calcutta to Canada. The only way you go to Canada is that you reach Hong Kong or you reach Yokohama or you reach Shanghai. These are the only three places from which a ship would cross over the Pacific and go to Canada. Now, if an Indian is buying a ticket at Hong Kong, will that ticket be allowed under second law? No. So, now you see what happens to Komagata Maru. We understand the two laws. It should either be continuous passage and it should not be bought in the other country than your origin. Now what happens is that a person called Gurdeep Singh, he commissions a Japanese ship called Komagata Maru, and this ship was going to take 322 Indians from Hong Kong to Vancouver. Vancouver. You will get different number in different books, 376. Some will say 322. Either number doesn't really matter to us. Now, you can see the problem initially itself, that this ship starts from here, Hong Kong. Then it was going to go to Shanghai. From Shanghai, it would go to Yokohama. And then from Yokohama, it would cross over and come to Canada. And one thing which one personality called Ras Bihari Bose was doing is, sitting in Japan, he was filling in. He used to make Gadarites or revolutionaries board from Yokohama into ships going to Vancouver. And this the British knew. Raspberry Bose, after doing the Harding bombing, goes to Dehradun, evades it, and then travels covertly to Japan. Now you can see, does this ship actually meet any of the criteria? Two of them? No. So what happens is that these 322 Indians travel from Calcutta somehow and reach till Hong Kong. And once they reach Hong Kong, they board the ship. They board the ship. This ship. And when they board this ship will travel via Hong Kong, Shanghai, Yokohama to Vancouver. But at Vancouver, the ship will not be allowed to unload. Not allowed to unload. And for 3 months, these 300 plus people will be on this ship and they will not be allowed to deboard, saying you all are illegal immigrants. And basically, some of people will start to die off on the ship because though they will provide food, the hygienic conditions on the ship was becoming bad. But after 3 months of doing drama, the ship will be asked to go back. And it will go back its original route and dock in Calcutta. However, when they reach in Calcutta, the British try to scuffle and do drama or just try to show a little bit of heavy-handedness. And there will be an incident or a riot in Calcutta in which close to 120 people will be killed. So more died in Calcutta than on the ship itself. And this incident will be taken as Gadarites as an unacceptable British drama and ideal. And therefore, now they will plan a revenge. Komagato Maro clear, everyone? Why this incident is seen as a tipping point for the Gadarites? Yes? Very good. First law, continuous. Second law, the ticket should be from where you live, where you come from. Ship does not take either. And basically, first, Lala Hardayal will get arrested on 25th March, but he will evade it. But Komagato Maro, 376 Indian passengers will not be allowed to enter into Canada, and this ship will turn back. And in turn, basically, because the Defense of India rules had now come in, the most of the regiments which were technically revolting were disbanded. Many leaders were hanged. Raj Bihari Bose would have to go to Japan. And Ali brothers, who will become very important later, were even interned for years, which is into house arrest. Basically, as soon as the First World War will start, the Gadarites will now start to look for a revenge. Can we talk about their revenge? Calcutta, how people died in Calcutta, people were being unloaded, scuffled down, people frustrated, fight with the police do firing. 376, you go with 376, no issues, doesn't really matter. So basic point of the matter is that people were already in that ship for close to 6 months. So the people wanted to get down, now they were being asked for their passport. So obviously people became angry. Now there was a clash between the police only knows one thing, which is to fire. In a way, they were not allowing them to unload in Calcutta, saying that you are coming from Japan. So they were like, enough is enough. People started to fight with the police, firing. Now, As I said, inflamed by the war, the Ghadar leaders now decide to take back revenge. Kartar Singh Sarabha and Raghubar Dayal Gupta will leave from India to go to Japan. And both Sachin Sanyal and Raspberry Bose, who were sitting in Japan at this point of time, were asked to lead this movement. What was decided was that between January and February 1915, there were a series of dacoities which happened. 3 out of 5 main cases and raiders targeted moneylenders and the people who were pro-British. And they had decided that on 21st February 1915, which is today, ironically, which is today, they were going to start a revolt in Firozpur, Lahore, Rawalpindi. But the plan was foiled because of treachery. Treachery means somebody from the Ghadar movement itself informed the police. So the response was not successful. And using the World War I as a excuse, all Ghadarites will be targeted and eliminated. So, can I just give you a summary of the Ghadarite and then we go to Morley Minto? We have now finished the political story. Can we just summarize everything? And you would know that basically recently Justin Trudeau said sorry for this. That is why this incident is very, very important. That the Kamagata Maro incident, Justin Trudeau had to say sorry, that we were sorry what we did. We were not under our own control, but we were technically under the British rule. But he said sorry for the Kamagata Maro incident. Ironically, the sorry for Jallianwala Bagh has not come till this point. Okay. Udham Singh, Akshay, not related to this. Udham Singh is Jallianwala Bagh. Can we just close this area now? Revolutionary activities area. Because then something very important, separate electorates. Yes? Great. Great. So what is the story of the Ghadarites? What is the story of the Ghadarites? Very simple story. That was a Canada stamp. You have Ghadar movement starts in Canada, America. The newspaper, they will be all targeted in America now under the concept that World War I, there are some certain enemies. So because the First World War, America will start to become an ally of the British. That is why. Okay. How they came to India? They were traveling via ships. They came to India and they were in the end foiled by their own members of the Ghadarites, who technically were mixed up or were basically British agents. The newspaper Ghadar circulated across the world. Thereafter, Lala Hardayal, Sohan Singh Bhakhna did not act initially. 1913 to 14. March 1914, Komagatu Maru incident. 1915, 21st February 1915, they plan a revolt. Did not happen. Foiled because of treachery. Ghadar movement done. Yes? Yes, no. Ghadar movement is related to the First World War because the movement of this 14-15, when they were doing it, First World War was happening in the background. And the First World War was used as a pretext to kill Gaddarites. I will tell you that when I'll talk about Rowlatt Act, I will tell you about Gaddarites. Don't worry. Rowlatt Act was technically the father of Rowlatt Act, which is Defense of India Act, was used to technically kill the Gaddarites. Impact of Ghadar movement created a lot of important concepts of resistance, but not successful. Before I go to Morley Minto, can I give you a question here? Two type of questions and you can understand it. Ghadar movement ends. Okay. See, the type of question you can expect from this area is very simple. You can expect a question like this, for example, revolutionary activities in India before the First World War was based on the ideals of revenge from the British, and it took multiple forms in multiple areas. Discuss. Basically, the questions from this area, prelims, is going to be match the following. I will show you that question. Match the following for prelims. Organization, founder, this, that. Can you answer this question? Yes. That basically you have to talk about the ideal of revolutionary activities and then multiple forms in multiple areas. Simply Anusilan and Yugantar, Mitramela and Abhinav Bharat, and their basic activities. This question is still very factual. Don't expect something like this. Much more conceptual will come, but I'm still making you write this. Then, second, the revolutionaries outside India allowed for nationalism to take multiple routes and dimensions in the 20th century. Discuss. Are you getting my point? These two questions. Kawagata Maro, ship goes, does not allow to be docked, comes back, people killed. That is the concept. So in both questions, you have to talk about revolutionaries, but one is India centric, the other one is one will start with Anusilan, the second one will start with Shyamji Krishna Varma. Are you getting my point? Are we all on the same page with regards to this? This area is much more prelims specific though, where you will get match the following organization and founder. That is it. Okay. Can planning in haste be a drawback? Yes, you can say that. Ghadar movement came to India during the war. However, it did not work out because of treachery. Now, can we now take off our revolutionary hats and discuss Morley Minto? Impact and reasons are not asked in prelims. That is not the way they can ask you a question. Treachery means traitors. Can we now shift to constitutional development? Very important act. See, I've given you a timeline. I'm again showing you that timeline so that you understand the importance of that. We have discussed all of this now. I have to now discuss Morley Minto, which is in white. Are you getting my point? Because now we need to change our orientation a little bit. Is this basic timeline clear? You can use whatever points you want to use in the mains examination. My basic point is, this is the area I had to cover with you. Now, can we talk about one important moment in this, which is Morley Minto, and Minto being the father of communalism? Yes, because this is a story scattered around in books. You need to be very clear about the basics here. I'm going to discuss home rule, but before that, I have to discuss Morley Minto. Okay. Now, perfect. Great. Perfect. Okay. So, in order to understand the Morley Minto reforms, see, generally, I have to do home rule league. I know that. So, don't worry about that. When we talk about Morley Minto, there is one word which everybody talks about, and that is the most important feature of this act, which is called the concept of separate electorates. So first, what I'm going to teach you is the concept of joint and separate electorates. So please pay attention and you will understand why separate electorates is dangerous. So now, present day India. So as of 21st February 2023, India has what is called a reserved seat concept with joint electorates. Does India have reserved seats in its parliamentary democracy? Yes, it does. Seats are reserved for certain communities. Very good. So let's take an example. For example, this is one constituency. And there are certain communities in this constituency. You have 2,000 Hindus, 1,000 Sikhs, and you have 1,000 Christians, and you have 3,000 Muslims. So as a constituency, are Muslims in majority? But if you look at the electoral roll, are they then in majority? Basically, Hindus, Sikhs, Christians taken together? No, they aren't. So as per religious understanding, they are in majority, but as per the concept of religious, if you remove that and if you look at the electoral roll, there are 4,000 non-Muslims, 3,000 Muslims. So the total votes in this constituency is 7,000. 7,000. Now today what happens in India is that because there is 3,000 Muslims, for example, this seat will be basically reserved for a Muslim candidate. So simply, if there are 5 people, A, B, C, D, E. All will have what common to them? A, B, C, D, E. What will be common to them? That they will be Muslim. They will be Muslim. Because it's a Muslim seat. The religion is same. However, when we will go for voting, India has reserved seat joint electorate. Basically, A, B, C, D, E will receive votes from the Hindus also, from the Christians also, from the Sikhs also, and from the Muslims also. So the total vote count is going to be out of 7,000. Basically, everybody votes for everybody. It is separate, what is called reserved seats, but joint electorate. Electorate is not separated. Everybody will be voted by everybody. There is no concept of voting curtailed or voters excluded because of religion. So the total number of votes which will be cast will be 7,000, voting for these 5 candidates who are Muslims. This is what is called reserved seats, joint electorate. Is this point clear? Is this concept clear? Yes? Now, if this is clear, then in 1909, what Minto and Morley were introduced is called reserved seats, separate electorates. Now I'm again repeating myself, please pay attention, repeating myself. There are 7,000 votes in this constituency, 3,000 Muslims are there, so therefore the seat was reserved for a Muslim candidate, which means that only a Muslim can stand for the candidature for the seat. However, because it is a joint electorate, everybody, all 7,000 votes are eligible. Is this clear? Muhammad Akshara, is this clear? Now, in reserved seat, separate electorate. Now you see a constituency like this. For example, same constituency. You have 3,000 Muslims. You have 2,000 Hindus, 1,000 Sikhs, and 1,000 Christians. Now, if under Morley Minto this goes for reserved seats, it would mean that A, B, C, D, and E will be Muslim candidates. However, separate electorate means only 3,000 people can vote for the Muslim candidate. Only the same community can vote for the reserved seat in that sense. Simply 4,000 votes will become not allowed or ineligible. No voting rights. These 3 areas, the electorate will be denied and not allowed to vote. Now, are you understanding the danger of separate electorates? Separate electorate means that not everybody votes, only your community votes for you. Morley Minto were going to introduce this concept. I will discuss why and what is the concept behind it. But from reserved seats, joint electorates, to reserved seats, separate electorates, the major difference is, though the seat is reserved, everyone is eligible. But as soon as a separate electorates come through, though it is a reserved seat, they will literally disenfranchise the other communities. Now, can you see why he is called the father of communalism? Because he is literally empowering one community over the other. And what was introduced was separate electorates for Muslims. That is it. No other community as of right now. Simple point is, Morley Minto reforms were going to introduce this basic concept. In India, see, both starts with reserved seats. Both starts with reserved seats, that a seat is reserved for a candidate. It was in India it is reserved, and in British India it is reserved under certain criteria. In India it is reserved for representation. However, in British India they were reserving the seat beyond their numerical or majority itself, as a form of communalism, as of divide and rule. Reserved seats are there in both, but there are two ways reserved seats work: joint electorate and separate electorate. Under joint electorate, what matters is that all vote for reserved candidate, and only the community of reservation votes for it. I'll give you a very simple example of this. Is this making sense? Is this making sense? Why seat reserved? Because you have to reserve the seat. I'll give you a very simple example. I'll give you a very simple example, and you will understand separate electors very easy. All of you, I have to choose one representative out of you. Now there will be men and women both. So I say that I reserve this seat for a woman. However, this candidate has joint electorate. So will both men and women vote, or only women vote? Both. However, I say that the election will be held with reserved seat and separate electorates, and there are 100 men and 110 women. How many people are going to vote for that woman? 110 only. 110, Sahil, not the 100. It is reserved with separate. Now do you get the point of separate electorates? Gendered separate electorates will come in 1935, but right now it is basically to the Muslims. If you understand the concept, then I will tell you why it was introduced, what was the pretext. Everybody is with me, the concept is clear, you will not get confused in the examination. Can a Muslim vote for a non-Muslim candidate in separate electorates? But Devansh, the problem is that the seat is reserved for a Muslim candidate only. So how will a non-Muslim stand? It has to be reserved first. It has to be reserved first. Apart, I am going to discuss this concept with you as we go on. Don't worry about that. Communalism, I will discuss with you separately. Don't have to worry. Well, perfect, Mohammed. If you understand it, finally, great. Perfect. So, now, you understand the concept. Yes or no? I want everybody's understanding. I will discuss the politics behind it. That's a separate issue altogether. Yes. Okay. Now, see, Morley is the Secretary of State and Minto is the Viceroy. Is the Viceroy. That is why it's called Morley-Minto reforms. Is the Viceroy. Now, the context for the Morley-Minto reform you know already, but I will repeat it to you. It's called the Shimla Deputation, which later became part of the Muslim League. See, basic point of the matter is that Curzon started to do Hindu-Muslim politics, but the Swadeshi movement technically undercut that Hindu-Muslim politics. And now in 1906, there will be a deputation of 58 leading Muslim men who tend to argue that their interest is different, will go and meet Minto. And see, Morley-Minto, if you look at the correspondence, and I've actually looked at this correspondence in the National Archives, between 1907, 8, 9, the correspondence does not talk about separate electorates. It actually talks about separate reserve seats, joint electorates. Very interesting correspondence between Morley and Minto. Morley used to suggest that we can go for separate electorates, but Minto used to straightforward say that reserve seats should suffice. Reserve seats should suffice with joint electorate. However, once Muslim League will be formed and there will be a lot of rhetoric or newspapers and pamphlets which will be issued by the Muslim League saying that if in the next cycle or next constitutional act we don't get separate representation, we would then go for all India protest. Now the problem in this story is that Minto overestimated the Muslim League. Minto overestimated the Muslim League because they technically did not have the capacity to go all India. But Morley already had a little bit of internal doubt. But Minto's doubt and Minto's mind will be changed after the other between 1906, 7 and 8. Muslim League's drama that we will burn ourselves, we will cut ourselves, we will go on the track, we will do this, we will do that. That how a child does a drama when he wants something. Muslim League was trying to show to Minto that we can create a national movement, which is technically not possible only. And it is in this context something which was taught by Curzon, that your interest and my interest is different. It is that the Indian Council Act 1909 will embody this concept. Morley-Minto were literally technically scared in a way of the activities or the consequence of joint electorate. And as much as you will read it if you will ever Google separate electorates, you will get 3-4 sites which are from Pakistan, and you will get articles thereafter from India. The Pakistani articles would argue that injustice was happening, Phalana Dhamkana, this, that. They will argue that the victim, this, that politics. But technically that was not true. Curzon very simply asked these Muslim League members to open their mouth, and he then started to pour them the concept that you have separate interest, and then Minto just came and institutionalized it. But why separate electorates is a dangerous concept is linked to the aspect that separate electorates disenfranchises people. And why Gandhi later will also be a little bit nervous, and the whole Pune Pact, as we will see, between Dr. Ambedkar and Gandhi. Because if you designate a seat as separate electorate, it in turn will be creating a wedge which cannot be ever covered. But as much as I would say that Morley and Minto were scared, a very important role here was also played by Sir Syed Ahmad Khan. And Sir Syed Ahmad Khan, between 1857 and by the time we come to 1909, via the Aligarh movement had shown to the British that the 1857 was not a Muslim conspiracy because Bahadur Shah Zafar was involved, that the Muslim community, this very small group, not all of them, a very small group wanted to project that we are loyalists. We had nothing to do. And basically there was a cleansing. But there is also one more coincidence. Are you following my train of thought? That basically it's a fear of protest. It's a what we call as Sir Syed Ahmad Khan concept of cleansing it. But also the Swadeshi movement and the revolutionary activities were now making the British desperate. Were now making the British desperate to find a solution to the problem. And they could see that the INC could control a little bit of politics. So here it's a win-win situation. Morley Minto were in double mind. However, the Shimla deputation will pivot it. Morley Minto and basically Minto was also in double mind. However, the Swadeshi movement and what happened thereafter will converge to create this act. Will converge to create this act. Basically, these two concepts will come together and create this act that the British wanted a solution to the INC, to Hindu politics, and they also were not clear about what they wanted, so the Shimla deputation helped. See, INC can't stop something like this because when the British say something, they have to, once they embody something, they embody something. So I'll write down these two contexts very simply, that basically it is two things coming together. British desperation to find a way to divide India, the Swadeshi movement showed unity beyond imagination. Aligarh movement removed the Muslim fear of the British. The Shimla deputation of Muslim League created pressure, and the fear of another mass movement technically brings these three, or brings Indian Council Act 1909 into the context. You understand the context now? They had failed. Swadeshi movement, blood and Curzon's activities, revolutionary activities are happening. They want somehow to find a way to that. And now, though they will expand a lot of things, they will introduce the worst thing possible. Is this clear? Separate electorates and the context for separate electorates. Though Aligarh movement would be Sir Syed Ahmad Khan, social religious reform movement. Are we all, with regards to this, on the same page? No issues. We understand the context here. Thereafter, I have to only tell you the provisions because there is nothing really in this act. Nothing really in this act. Okay. Perfect. The act increased the number of elected members in the imperial and legislative councils. Most of these members to be indirectly elected. Just to refresh your memory, just to refresh generally your memory, what is the structure here? Structure is Secretary of State, you have to say it with me, come on. Secretary of State plus 15 members. Thereafter, Governor General and Viceroy, Legislative Council, Executive Council. Thereafter, Governor of Bengal, Bombay, Madras, Awadh, Punjab, and Northwestern Province. Yes. And all of them have their legislative councils called as Provincial Legislative Council. Very good, PLCs. We are very clear about this. Now what it does is it increases the number here and increases the number here. And all are indirectly elected. But now this indirect election will happen both in this and this based on separate electorate principle. This is the basic point. The people entering the legislative councils and the PLCs, separate electorate for Muslims, only Muslims, was created in the Morley-Minto reforms. In the Morley-Minto reforms, as it says here, very simply, members were indirectly elected, numbers will go up. The number of members in the provincial legislative councils was not uniform, obviously. Central legislative council was expanded to 69. Don't have to remember the data, but I'm still going to write it here if you want to, which is there is total 69 members here. And thereafter, out of the 69, 36 were official. Basically, the majority was official. 5 were nominated and 6 were elected by big landlords and 2 by Indian capitalists. But this 27 is where the separate electorate comes through. But the most significant thing which happened in this is, for the first time an Indian got associated with the Executive Council, which is Satyendra Nath or Satyendra Sinha. This is a very important moment because never in Indian history was anybody associated with the Executive Council. First time Indian added to Executive Council, his name being Satyendra Nath Sinha, sometimes written Satyendra Sinha also. Satyendra Nath Sinha. He is now added to the Executive Council. He is called to the non-official means Indian. Means Indian. Are we clear about the provisions here? He's not officially elected, he is nominated. Ravindra, I'll tell you how that is going to become a problem, because by the next 5 years, indirect election concept will go away, direct elections will come in. Okay. Now, 2 Indians will be member of the Indian Council office in London. Now you see, again, 2 Indians added to India House. So now Indians also got associated with the Secretary of State process or Secretary of State office. And the word legislative councils was used for the first time. Basically, the legislative council concept, the LC word I'm using for a very long time. The first time it is used is LC only. It was called Legislative Assembly, but they've used the council for the first time. Provided for separate representation of zamindars, presidency corporations, universities, Chamber of Commerce, Calcutta and Bombay. But it introduced separate electorates in excess of their strength in population. This is also very significant, which is that if in India, what is the concept of how much is the way you divide one constituency? How do you divide one constituency? The way you delimit a constituency according to population, but delimitation happens as per one constituency as per what population? That there's a number for that. There's a proportion. 10 lakh, 1 million, 1 million. 1 million population, one delimitation happens. One constituency is cut. Now, what the Muslim separate electorate constituencies were, that even though when they were not in a majority, they were given reserve seats in excess to their population. For example, if there are only 1% more also Muslim given reserve seats, and more than that, the income qualification for a Muslim voter was lower than a Hindu. So basically, we call him the father of communal electorate for a very specific reason. Because when this separate electorates comes through, it is also based on the fact that the seats allocated to Muslims or the seats reserved for Muslims is more than their proportion in population. And this is not a joke. This is not a joke. Because this means that even if there is a majority of Hindus, still the seat is separate electorate. Then if the seat is separate electorate, can the Hindus vote? No. And this is the basic point. Right now, it is limited because the seats are limited. But once the seats will start to increase, this is going to become literal poison. Literal poison. So if you understand these basic provisions, can I revise separate this concept of what we call as 1909 Morley-Minto reforms? Because then we go to Home Rule League. Last topic. Yes? Is everybody following me? Multiple topics are being done because this is how it is going to be. We will be going through a lot of things in one day because they are short movements. Okay, very good. So let us revise. 1909, what is called Indian Council Act, also known as Morley-Minto reform. In the examination, you would have to look for the word separate electorates for this test, for this Council Act. What are the basic provision? One Indian into Executive Council, 2 Indians into Secretary of State Office, thereafter number of seats increase, and then separate electorate, excess in population, and seats in excess of population, and income criteria or income rule lower. So let's make a code for this. Did every religion participate in voting to elect Muslim candidates? Sameen, that is the basic point. Separate electorates means no other community can actually vote. No other religion. So 09 SEP L India 1 2 EC Secretary, or we can say India House. And last but not the least, the concept of seats increase. So I'll write it down in a much more simpler way. 09 Sepel seats up 1 EC 2 IH. Can you remember this? Your Morley-Minto reforms is done. Separate electorates in all provinces, all legislative, imperial legislative council, or be it the separate, the concept of provincial legislative council. You will see this concept blossom as we go on. But for me, you clearing the examination is equally important or more important than anything. So in the examination, will you be able to identify any of these features and associate it with 1909? Yes? Separate electorates is no way justified in any way or form. Now, if you are asking me, is it justiciable? Then you have to keep out the Indian Constitution out of in the independence movement. There's no concept of justiciability that you can take it to court. This is a very modern notion. Sepel means separate electorate. Sepel. Sepel. Separate electorates. Seats in excess of population, and basic point. If, for example, there are 50 lakh Muslims and there are 50 lakh Hindus, 5 constituency. But that did not happen. They were given 7 constituencies and 3 constituencies. So this is called in excess of seats or of their concept. If the seat is reserved for Hindu, only Hindu votes, but they will never ever reserve the seat for Hindu. That is not the point itself. It was about disenfranchising or dividing the Hindu and Muslim population. It's if you see, if you and me are neighbors and I'm a Hindu and a Muslim, for centuries we have been together. Now the British says that you can vote, I can't. What is going to happen? What is going to happen? Communal discord. It's about dividing us. It's about dividing us. That's it. You're getting my point, how this creates a lot of conflict, engineered conflict. Yes? Okay. If all this is clear, then we discuss Home Rule League. Last topic, small topic related to Tilak and Annie Besant. Can we discuss Home Rule League? Okay. Now, Tilak has been expelled out of the INC. The INC itself is in disarray between 1907 and 1915 till 1916. INC is in disarray. And in 1915, rises a personality called Annie Besant. Annie Besant was in India for a very long time because she was linked to one society which is called the Theosophical Society. It's a society which does not believe in God but believes in universal brotherhood. And the concept of brotherhood, no God or godless, formless. It's a very interesting society, Theosophical Society. Bratislava, HV Bratislava was the one who was linked to it. And Annie Besant was the member of the Theosophical Society in India. Now, basically, in the 1915 period, there rises a movement in Ireland, and she's Irish. In Ireland, which is called the Home Rule League movement, which is the concept that we, the Irish, want to rule ourselves. Scottish, already there was a lot of pressure on the English. But the basic point of the matter is that the Home Rule League movement was a movement which did not start in India, but it means home rule. Home rule means your own rule. And Annie Besant brings this concept to India. Basically, Swaraj is the word which we use for it. But Annie Besant brings this to India, that there is a movement in my own country. We can bring it back to India and we can develop it. And the person who gets associated with Annie Besant is no one else but Bal Gangadhar Tilak. Tilak and Annie Besant create what is called the All India Home Rule League movement. And the concept was very simple. How many days does the INC meet in a year? How many days does the INC meet in a year? 3 to 4 days. 3 to 4 days. Maximum 3 to 4 days. Tilak said that why is that the only body meets for 3 days? It's a holiday. So he said that we will create a all India level movement, which is there as a movement every day. And it's an all India level movement which does not have conferences but has a program. But not everybody was very comfortable in being under Annie Besant, because not everybody would trust first a white person and then a woman. That is patriarchy for you. But it's a dangerous combination. Firstly, she is an Irish and then she is a woman. And with Bal Gangadhar Tilak besides her, people wanted to be under Bal Gangadhar Tilak. His very close followers did not want to go with Annie Besant. And therefore, in India, there was not one but two Home Rule League movements. One is called the Tilak Home Rule League and the other one is called the Besant Home Rule League. And their zones were defined. But you will ask me, sir, why are you telling me this story? I'm telling you this story for a very simple reason, that Gandhi will literally use the Home Rule League movement people for his own purpose. Basically, the same year Home Rule League movement is going to start, exactly same year, 9th January, rockstar Gandhi is going to come back. Gandhiji is going to come back to India. And this is the discussion for tomorrow, that what had he achieved in South Africa that made him an instant success in India. The concept of Gandhi Darshan and the power of Gandhi. But the Home Rule movement will not survive because Gandhi will say useless. They don't have direction. And if Gandhi says you're useless, you're useless. And therefore, people will very quickly shift from the Home Rule League movement and become that same people will become the constituency of Gandhi. So we'll talk about Gandhi, why was he doing, what was he doing in South Africa. Tomorrow we bring in Gandhi into the picture. But I hope that you are understanding the concept of Home Rule League. It's a Irish thing brought in by Annie Besant, proposed by Annie Besant to Tilak, and he then thereafter talks about it and spreads it. So what I'm going to do is now I'm going to add the detail into the story, and then we finally discuss the INC coming to their mind, which is called the Lucknow Pact. That is what is left. Okay. The concept of Home Rule League movement is based on the frustration which was developing. No, we won't finish obviously national movement by this week, but most probably next week for sure. Now, we are very quickly reaching Gandhi. Gandhi, thereafter, Rowlatt, non-cooperation, CDM. Before you blink it, we will be in August offer. August offer, Cripps mission. Then Cripps mission, Mountbatten will be arriving. So, business end. Quick. Okay. A section of the nationalists felt that there needed to be more pressure on the government to get concessions. Gandhi did not oppose Home Rule League. Gandhi is a very big strategist. I will tell you that. He came to India and he had so many offers. INC, Home Rule League, this, that. He said, I will not join anybody. I will tour India. I will understand India. I will tell you that. Don't worry about that. Okay. So, popular pressure on the government. Moderates were disillusioned. Finally, at least they were disillusioned by the Morley Minto reform. Something disillusioned the moderates finally, that their faith in the British was finally gone. That yes, the British are not here for good work. It took them a long time, but they understood it. And there were also the war miseries which were coming through, war inflation, rise in prices, people were being sent against their will to war. Protests were happening, but the INC was in disarray. So Annie Besant, an Irish theosophist who was based in India since 1896, will decide to enlarge her activities and try to bring in her own motherland's concept of what is called the Irish Home Rule League. And the Home Rule League movement will be seen as the response of Indians to the First World War. See, this is why INC became problematic. Because once the INC goes for the split, Surat split, it is useless because the moderates just come, sit, have tea and go back. And that is why Bal Gangadhar Tilak was technically looking for opportunities to expand, somehow expand the movement. Tilak, Besant, Kapadre, S. Subramaniam Iyer, Baptiste, and Jinnah were some of the people who were linked to the Home Rule League movement. They decided that it was necessary to have a national alliance that works throughout the year, unlike the annual sessions of the Congress. And they wanted to demand self-rule and home rule. I mean, but. Can you see a word there? Can you see a word there? What is the word problematic there? Not Commonwealth, not British. Not Commonwealth. The word which is problem is this. Within. See, I'll tell you one thing. Commonwealth is a fancy name for empire. It was no one Commonwealth, it was British wealth. So when the British say Commonwealth, it means British Empire. So the Commonwealth Games, what is common to all of those countries is that they were British Empire countries. That is why no China comes, no. So Commonwealth is a fancy name for the British to say empire. So what the Home Rule League is deciding for or asking for is self-government within the British Empire. And this is why Gandhi did not agree with the Home Rule League movement. He believed that this concept of within doesn't work. Are you getting my point? Basically, I'm not using that word right now, dominion status, but it is technically dominion status. Austria, Australia, New Zealand, Canada. Now, because people were not ready to work with Annie Besant so clearly, 2 Home Rule Leagues will start. And the aim was aggressive politics. Tilak will set it up in April of 1916. And his Home Rule League first meeting will happen in Belgaum. Pune was the headquarter. And now please pay attention. Now the concept is very different. We are still part of the Commonwealth, but that is a totally different concept. We've joined in for goodwill. But what is common to the Commonwealth is all our British colonies. Pune was the headquarters, but his league was only restricted to Maharashtra, excluding Bombay City, Karnataka, Central Province, and Berar. Basically, the Maharashtra sector, excluding Mumbai, and Karnataka, Central Province, and Berar is where Tilak concentrates. 6 branches were there, and they were asking for Swaraj, formation of linguistic states, and education in vernacular. However, Annie Besant, who was now campaigning through her New India and Commonweal, will be called the All India Home Rule League, September 1916, 3 months afterwards, in Madras, and it were covered all of India, including Bombay City. Because Bombay City, Annie Besant believed that there was a much bigger community of Parsis and others, a much more cosmopolitan outlook. So people were ready to listen to her. However, in the whole central sector, Tilak is there. Now, please tell me one thing. In the examination, if they say consider the following: Karnataka, Bombay City, Berar, this, that, will you be able to technically identify the areas which will go under Tilak and under Besant? You will be able to do it? Perfect. She has 200 branches, and Arundale is a very important personality who works with him, along with B. W. Wadia and C.P. Ramaswamy Iyer. Now, simple point. Before I go to Lucknow Pact, please listen to me. What is the purpose of the Home Rule League? Home Rule League movement is the Irish Home Rule League movement coming to India. Annie Besant. Now, Annie Besant technically is the one who influences, and that within word which you see is because of Annie Besant. It's not because of Tilak. That is why I never totally agreed with Annie Besant too much. That is why you're saying that why is he an extremist and saying within? Because the movement had to be structured in a certain way. INC was not working, so Tilak had to go for a compromise, which is the Home Rule League movement. So that is why his followers never agreed with Annie Besant. Simple point is he makes his own Home Rule League movement, Central India, which is Karnataka, Berar, Central Provinces, and the Maharashtra sector, excluding Mumbai. Remember, excluding Mumbai, and everything else is with Besant plus Mumbai. It is a movement which will fizz out very quickly. I will show you the fate of them tomorrow. Can we agree and understand the prelims perspective of Home Rule League, and you will be able to understand and identify it? Yes? Last but not the least, everybody is going to come back in Lucknow Pact in 1916, because the INC, the moderates, will realize that the INC is useless without the extremists. The president will be Ambika Charan Majumdar, but the main difference, you will say, sir, why did they come back? What changed? The person who had been hit by the shoe is now dead. Because Firoz Shah Mehta was now dead, and Gopal Krishna Gokhale is also not there. Firoz Shah Mehta's ego was that I will not let the extremists come in, and therefore, as soon as he is not with us, moderates and extremists join back. They realized that the split had only led to political inactivity. But the most unlikeliest of members in the Lucknow Pact was the Muslim League. For the first time, the Muslim League was ready to cooperate with the INC, because they could see that without the INC, as I said, League was already useless. So with this, I would like to just give you a summary of what we've done today. Can we do that? We've discussed all the smaller topics we have to discuss. Can we now discuss everything together? Yes? Very good. Now, first point, I hope everything made sense to you. Multiple topics, multiple strands, but I've tried to bring all of them together. First point. Second is, what have we discussed today? Now, please listen to me. First, we discussed the concept of revolutionary activities. We discussed three areas first: Bombay, Bengal, and I'll take you to the first slide itself so that you can look at it as I'm doing it. So we first understood. Now you understand the importance of this. That basically it is quick revision when you know the whole story already. So quick revision. Revolutionary activities. Simply, Chapekar brothers are the ones who started in India. Rand will be killed. Thereafter, two bodies will rise: Anushilhan Samiti and Mitra Mela. Thereafter, the internal politics will change within Mitra Mela and Anushilhan Samiti, Abhinav Bharat and Yugantar. By 1906, these organizations were in place. 1907, two attempts by the Bengal wing, Fuller and Fraser. 1908, Kingsford successful, but Anushilhan Samiti will be disbanded very quickly. 1909 is a very significant year. Three things happen together. The Abhinav Bharat is able to assassinate Jackson. That will lead to their disbandment. Morley-Minto reforms is going to introduce separate electorates. The concept of disenfranchising the other community, reserved seat separate electorates. We are reserved seat joint electorates. Madan Lal Dhingra will go on the scholarship of Shyamji Krishna Verma to London under the concept of India House. He will then assassinate Curzon Willie to show to the British that you are not safe in London. It is also the year in which other revolutionaries were emerging outside India, Madam Bikaji Kama and Virendranath Chattopadhyay. Thereafter, the 1913 period is important because the Punjabi community, the Punjabi army community who are settling down in Canada and America will come together under Lala Hardayal and Sohan Singh Bhakhna to produce the Gadar movement and the Gadar paper. It will try to spread the message of nationalism all across the world from Canada. And the Kamagata Maro incident is going to be the turning point for the Gadar party. It will try to introduce a rebellion on 21st February 1915. However, that will not happen, and that in turn will lead to the British using the World War I Act, which I'm going to discuss with you very soon, which is called the Defense of India Act, the father of Rowlatt Act, to technically wipe out the Gadar movement. And thereafter we saw the concept of Harding bombing in between, in which Rashbihari Bose was able to target Harding, but he was unsuccessful. He will go to Japan. He is now sitting in Japan. Remember him because he's going to become an important part of our story with Subhash Chandra Bose rising. Simple point of the matter is, the last thing we discussed is Home Rule League and 1916 Lucknow Pact. Home Rule League movement, Tilak's desperate attempt to keep nationalism alive, but now under a different banner. And Lucknow Pact, in which now with Firoz Shah Mehta's death, everybody realizes that INC is usually without the extremists. Politics has changed. They need to change. Clear, everyone? Done. Out before Gadar, Shyamji Krishnaji Verma, Bikaji Kama, Virendranath Chattopadhyay. Now, simple point. What do we do tomorrow? Now, please don't miss tomorrow, irrespective of anything. Because we discuss advent of Gandhi. Tomorrow, we will talk about how he will go to London for his advocate or lawyer's degree, from London to South Africa, where he will go technically to basically represent a merchant, but he will go for 3 months, stay there for close to 30 years, and he will come back to India in 1915. I will talk about the power of Gandhi, the darshan of Gandhi, the power of his charisma, and we will also talk about Champaran, Kheda and Ahmedabad tomorrow. Done? Morley-Minto reforms, everything remains the same. 2 Indians in London, 1 Indian in Executive Council, and separate electorates. Perfect. So if you don't have a question, thank you so much. I hope this methodology is working and at least you are understanding everything comprehensively. Right? Done. Okay. Thank you. Take care. I'll see you tomorrow, same time. Advent of Gandhi tomorrow. Rowlett and Jallianwala Bagh day after, and thereafter we will go into the Swarajist, no changer, non-cooperation movement period. Satya, in a way, the chapters which are covered, in a way. Khilafat, yes, Khilafat. We have to first end the war, First World War for that. According to Morley Minto, says only seats are reserved for Muslim. And if a province has Hindu majority, every community can contest. No, there's no exception. If it's a separate electorate, it's a separate electorate, no exceptions. Parth, what is there? Last topic, Lucknow Pact. Everybody comes together, happy family. Hum saath saath hai, everybody together. Which is that in extremist, moderates, and Muslim League say that we need to come together. The war is at its peak and we need to fight together. That's it. How much percentage syllabus is completed? Rajesh, percentage you want? Percentage 65? Gandhi, we have reached, see, you don't see percentage. We've reached 1915. And by end of this week, we'll reach 1930-35. So 47 we have to reach. Main purpose of Home Rule League to rejuvenate nationalism under a new banner. Post-independence I will do with you after I discuss this. Partition of Bengal, Bihar, Orissa, which is that they were separated and made into one province itself. Rise in Muslim population created new constituency. No, Devansh, it's not like that. It's like the delimitation was done in a very skewed way. Yes, you can leave for the webinar. If you have to go with the webinar, please do. How many questions from whole history in pre? 25. Cannot ignore it. Suicide. If anybody is saying it, if any video is saying it, that leave history and go, then he's asking you to commit suicide in the UPSC examination. 25 questions will be history, 25 questions will be polity, basic fundamental subjects, 20 you will get. History, geography, economics and political science. Jinnah, I will talk about, Praveen. You cannot ignore history. I know this purpose of that question. Cannot ignore history. Sachin, you have to remember the leaders' names because they are asked very easy standard thing. Learn them once, revise them over a period of time. It will come to you very quickly. As you can see, leaders are actually getting repeated. And this is going to happen later also. Umera, technically not. Much things have to happen right now. It gives the inspiration but does not lead to. Mains question from Home Rule League, Labdi, no. The question is going to be most probably about the way they are divided. That's it. Done. You can go to the webinar. Thank you so much. I hope everything's making sense. Good night. Take care. Bye-bye. See you tomorrow. 8th class NCERT and 12th class part 3.